Welcome to the Miller Experience, where we have up close and personal conversations with people that I admire, people that I look up to, and that's fixtures in the game. And my guest is definitely one of these guys. Before I introduce you to my guest, let me give out a little fun facts about him, okay? My guest accepted a football scholarship from Clemson University, which he majored in marketing. As a redshirt freshman in the '98 season, he has his first started quarterback week 5 against the University of North Carolina. Ever since then, guys, it was on. During his time at Clemson, he led his team in 1999 to the Peach Bowl versus Mississippi State. And in 2001, he led his team to the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida versus Virginia Tech. Michael Vick and Virginia Tech, guys, and I was there. In 2000, he was one of the 8 semifinalists for the Davy O'Brien Award. In 2001, he was one of the top 2 candidates for the Heisman Trophy Award. During his brief time after his college career, he spent time with the Dallas Cowboys and Atlanta Falcons. He did not get drafted. He was a free agent. He did spend some time in NFL Europe for the Frankfurt Galaxy. And also in 2006, he was in the AFL, Arena Football League, with the Chicago Rush, where in 2006, he won the Arena Bowl 20 National Championship. You guys, I want to introduce you guys to the one and only, the Clemson legend, Mr. Woodrow Dantzler. Mr. Woodrow Dantzler, how you doing, Mr. Dantzler?
Man, I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, first off, all camera, we was talking about Orangeburg. I know you went to Orangeburg Wilkinson. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
How was your experience as being an student athlete at Orangeburg Wilkinson?
My experience was a fun one because that's something that I kind of embraced a lot, just enjoying life. Never took on too much stuff. Again, I think a lot of that lends to the fact that I was a little naive as a kid growing up. But
yes, sir.
For the most part, it was just fun for me. I enjoyed my friends. I enjoyed being in school. I enjoyed playing ball. So whatever I can do, I just enjoyed it.
Were you a one-sport athlete, 2 or 3 sports, or?
I was a 2-sport athlete, I'll say, because I ran track as well. I gave baseball a try for one practice.
Yeah.
And I took it as a sign because that's the baseball coach was actually the offensive coordinator as well.
Okay.
So he's been pestering me about coming out try for baseball. He wanted me to pitch. He said, you don't got to do nothing but pitch. You don't got to run bases. You don't got to play outfield. You don't got to hit nothing. Just pitch. Mm-hmm. And I went out there one day and I threw the ball over the plate a little bit. Felt good. But then I went home that night and they were doing a special on pitchers getting hit by, the ball coming back at them. Guy lost his eye. One guy lost. And I was like, you know what? I went back next day. I said, Coach, I'm going on run track. So that ended my baseball career.
So what made you go to Clemson?
Rick Stockstill. He was the guy who recruited. He was a recruiting coordinator over my area. Mm-hmm. And when it boiled down to it, after everyone that I spoke to, I just believed in him. I trusted him. So I went to Clemson because of Rick Stockstill. No more, no less.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, brother. Watching you as a kid, man, you being from South Carolina, even though I was living in Jacksonville, Florida during the time, I am originally from South Carolina. I was like, man, forget. You was my Michael Vick. Seeing you was my Vick, man. I mean, you and Vick was head to head, but you being from the crib, you was my Vick, man. Yeah. So I know you spent a brief time in NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, Atlanta Falcons. Tell me, what was the business like for an athlete in the NFL that people probably would not know?
Well, one thing, just what you said, it is a business. It's about numbers. It's about profit margin. All that stuff comes into play as well. Mm-hmm. So even though you're talented, it's so many other factors that go into making a team. Do you fit their scheme? Can they get someone to do pretty much the same thing you can at a lesser price? It's so many different factors that comes into it. And you really got to realize that you are a commodity. So not only do you, understand the athletic side of it, make sure keep your body right, understanding the playbook, being able to insert yourself. But on top of that, you got to understand, contract negotiations, understanding, what the team needs are, how the front office moves, who's in control of making those decisions, what needs to take place. So many different factors that everybody leaves out. They think that if I'm great on the field, that I should be able to play or make it to the league. Or if I get to the league, I actually can stay in the league. No, it's so many different factors that you got to be aware of. And so many people miss out and lose out because they don't understand the totality of what the NFL is really about, or any professional sport for that matter.
Well, I know you wasn't drafted by the Cowboys. You was undrafted free agent, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, the success you had in college, how did that? Hey, you're not in the league anymore. You're not playing sports. You could be real. Don't give me the politically correct answer. But tell me, were you upset that you wasn't drafted? Because man, you was balling in Clemson, man, balling. And I just feel
Uh,
like by you not being drafted, that was so disrespectful, man. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, by that time, I was on such a different plane.
Okay.
My mindset was, well, let me back up. So what happened in 1999, I actually gave my life to Christ for real.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Okay.
but I actually understood that there was a bigger plan for me. So coming out of college, my big thing, getting a scholarship to go to Clemson was huge for me because I didn't know how I'd be able to pay for school. So being able to get that, and then when they started talking about me playing in the league, my whole mind said, "Okay, Father, if this is what you want from this, what you have from me, then I'll go as far as you take me on this road." So as going through the process, because I was never that kid that I want to go to the NFL. My dream was to make it to the NFL. It was
Okay.
kind of one of those things. If it happens, it happens. So the being undrafted wasn't a big deal. I mean, because for me, the fact that I got the opportunity was enough for me. Because all I needed was that opportunity. So I wasn't upset. I wasn't bothered. I was more like, okay, I have this opportunity here. What am I going to do with it? What does God want for me to do? Why He put me here for a reason? What
Okay.
and why does He have me here? And let me figure this out so I can make sure that I accomplish the goal that He set before me.
I understand. Well, I say this: I was upset for you. Then I was upset for you. You played in multiple leagues, man. NFL, AFL, and American Indoor Football League. How are these leagues different from each other?
Well, the biggest difference between the NFL and AFL, which is arena ball, indoor
Mm-hmm.
football, is that the field is smaller. You got less players on the field. Some of the schemes are different, but when they ball down to it, it's still ball. And that's
Okay.
the way I looked at it. So you still got to get out there. You got to be able to throw the ball. You got to catch the ball. You got to be able to defend. So those different things. The schemes may be different, but really, it's still football.
Yes,
You
sir.
got a ball. You got to get into the end zone. You can kick the ball to the goal post. So this other than the field being smaller, less men on the field, is still football, and it was just fun. Just all
Yeah.
across the board, just fun because it's a
Hey.
game. That's what the game is for, and that's what so many of our kids miss out on. So many people miss out on that. It's still a game. So much, so much politics and different things getting into the game of football. We lose sight of it's still a game. It's for fun.
Do you think that these kids, college kids, how do you feel about people saying that they should be paid? What do you think about that? Because my opinion, I feel like they're getting paid by a free education. That's my opinion. But what do you think about these college kids? It's a big controversy on people saying that these college athletes should be paid for their services. That you're making billions of dollars for these schools, but they're not getting anything back from them. So how do you feel about that?
I'm kind of in between because I'm on the same lane with you for
Yeah.
the fact of you think about a lot of these kids, especially coming from where we come from. College wasn't an option, and if I can get
Mm-hmm.
if I can get my scholarship to pay for my college and my books, you think about that. That kid is pretty much making about $80,000-$90,000 a year with that scholarship, and you
Mm-hmm.
throw in room and board and all that stuff. I mean, you're being paid tremendously, and when you get into these kids are making all this money for the university, you can look at it as with any business. So let's say BMW. Does BMW pay their workers the same amount that the higher ups are making? They're making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Nope.
Should the workers get paid those millions of dollars as well? The ones that are working on the assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a double-edged sword, and it's one of those things of, for me, it would be good to see them get paid. How do you make that fair? Now,
Yeah.
once you graduate and you get into the workforce, that's different, but you
Yes.
got college kids here. How do you make that fair? So you got the walk-on, you got the guy who's not the prolific the quarterback or the receiver or whoever that skilled athlete is. He's not the focal point, so he's not going to be able to get as much attention and drawn to him. So however they figure it out, how do you make it fair? That's the biggest thing. So for me, I would like to see them do some, but I mean, I don't know how you make that fair. But in actuality, if I look at what we got when we were there, when I was in school, almost 20 years ago, and what they get now, they get still so much more than what we were getting when I was in school.
Yeah.
So they are making some strides, but it's just one of those things. How do you make it fair? I don't know how you make that fair. I'd be all for it, but
Yeah.
for me, honestly, getting that education, that free paid education, that's enough for me.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Cause a lot of kids, I mean, I had to pay for my education. I didn't get a scholarships. I went to Bethune-Cookman. I had to pay for it. I would love to have a free ride.
Right.
You say you gave your life for Christ back in '99, correct? You still in Clemson,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How did you being strong in your faith as a college kid? How was that? Because I went to college, man. There's so much going on, and you got your friends partying and just playing around. And what were you doing while after the games while your teammates, friends are partying? What were you doing? Were you like in the Bible, or you going to Bible study, just in the church somewhere? Since you were so strong in your faith.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna say I was the typical church boy, in my
That's
Bible.
what I'm trying to get to. There you
Right,
go.
right,
That's what
right,
I'm trying
right,
to
right.
get to.
Now, and I'll qualify by saying this: I was never that kid, that bad kid, that kid that was out doing stuff that he had no business doing. So
I
yes,
got
I
you.
went to parties, but after a while, I got tired of that scene. Even when I
Mm-hmm.
first got there, um, I wasn't the one to go out. I'll go out for a little bit because that's just what my friends were doing.
Yeah.
Actually, me and my cousin actually went with me. We were
Yeah.
roommates. We pretty much hung neck and neck. We'll go out, but then we wouldn't stay long. I just got tired of the scene. I was never that guy that wanted to be around a bunch of people. So, and also on top of that, I was never the guy to follow the crowd. You would
Yeah.
never hear me say I was doing something because someone else did. And that was even before I fully committed to Christ. One of my
Yeah.
favorite poems by Robert Frost, two roads diverge in the woods. I chose the one less traveled. That's made all the difference. That's kind of my life story. I'm always the one to go do something different. If most people are doing it, I'm not going to do it just for the sake because everyone else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to, giving my life to Christ, what happened there was once I get information and once I'm committed to it, I'm committed to it. So it wasn't hard for me not to do these things that I felt violated, what scripture said. It wasn't hard for me not to partake in different things that were contrary to my beliefs. So you can't influence me. Peer pressure wasn't enough. I mean, I remember just sitting there talking, man, well, you can take a drink. You can take a drink. And I'm sitting here like, no, for what?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to get me to do something I know I don't need to do. So it was very instrumental. And again, I'm that guy who once I get something, I'm both legs in, hitting the
Yeah.
ground and I'm running.
I
So it
got
was pretty easy for me to stay grounded, stay in on the path that God has laid before me because, that was my commitment.
For your brief stint in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, man, how was it playing for Bill Parcells and having Jerry Jones as owner? That had to be crazy.
Actually, it was not. I mean, it was so. Again, I mean, just seeing how God just orchestrated these different things, and I'll give you actually two stories on that. One with when both with Bill Parcells, and honestly, he's one of the. I'll put him up there with my high school coach, Tommy Brown, is one of my favorite coaches, and also Rick Stockstill. Those three for me are, three of the best coaches I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And one is, because I'm myself. And I remember when Bill Parcells first came to the Cowboys, and we was in the weight room working out. We were having fun playing music. I mean, we was working out, but we were joking around, having a good time. And all of a sudden, I just noticed that everybody got quiet, and all of a sudden they want to really focus and work. I'm like, what's going on? And I turned around and I said, what are y'all doing? I said, we were having fun. I said, oh, because of this guy? Oh, so this guy walks in. So now you want to, y'all want to act like y'all serious. And he just kind of looked at me because, the tuna had this reputation as,
Yeah. Yeah.
this guy. But I
Yeah.
mean, he was awesome. And this is what really solidified, the great coach that he is. One of the things that I kind of struggled with and I continue to work on when I first got there was catching punts.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember out there in the off season, I'm out there working on the jug machine, and the guy he was shooting the punts to me, and it was just a bad day. Out of probably about 40 something, I might have caught two, maybe barely did that. and it was awful. And the way our workout facilities is, the weight room actually overlooked the practice field, that first practice field.
Yeah.
So I'm out there and I'm dropping the ball. I can't track it. It's just awful. And then all of a sudden I hear, stop, quit it, turn that thing off, stop, quit. And I'm sitting there and I look up and it's him coming down the hill. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm sitting in here trying to get a workout and you're literally making me sick to my stomach. I mean, what's going on? Are you blind? Do I need to send you to the gym to get your eyes checked? I mean, I just got this job. You expect me to put you back there and put my job on the line? He said, no, I can't trust you back there. All this he's saying as he's walking towards me.
Yeah.
And, every word that's coming out of his mouth is sinking me deeper and deeper into the ground. And by the time he got to me, I was like, you know what? I'm about to go home right now. And then he got close to me. He was side by side. He's standing right next to me. And he paused for a minute. He took a breath. He put his hand on my shoulder. He said, have you ever heard of a man by the name of Dave Meggett? And, by this time, I'm deflated and demoralized. So I just kind of shook my head, yeah. And he said his first game with me, he dropped 3 kicks in the game. And he only went on to be one of the greatest returners that this league has ever seen. And he walked off.
Dave Meggett's from New England. It's New England days, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Giants. I think no, he was Giants days.
Giants?
Dave Meggett was in the Giants, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, he said that in the end, he was like, he only went on to be one of the greatest returners in this game has ever seen. And he just walked off. And in that moment, it's like, he is a skilled psychologist. He's a physician, and he knew exactly what he needed to do. So he tore me down, but then again, he put that little seed of, look, basically they say, keep working. Even the great ones had a starting point. I'm getting all this just from that little thing that he said. He only went on to be one of the greatest returners. So that motivated me to even work harder. So I stayed out there a little bit longer to work on those skills. So for me, that's what kind of solidified.
That's crazy you say that, because just before we started the show, me and my producer was talking about, to be a head coach in the NFL, you have to be a master manipulator, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To get to them guys, So it's funny you said that. But what are you doing now? What's going on with Woodrow Dantzler now?
Well, right now I'm still in South Carolina. I'm in the upstate, working doing pharmaceutical sales. So that's my day job. But I also have my own business, Dantzler 3 LLC, where I do motivational speaking. I do community work, doing mentoring, different things like that. My whole thing, my passion is seeing people become the best version of themselves, realizing the greatness that's within and helping them unlock it and develop it and then walk in it for the rest of their lives. So that's what I spend the majority of my time doing, really focusing in on developing youth and helping them become great. Whether it's the youth, whether it's men, whether it's young people, whoever it is, I just want to make sure I help them be the best possible person they can possibly be, because one of the gifts that God has given me is the ability to see people like He sees them, not their flaws, not their mistakes, but their greatness. Yes, I recognize and I see, where they're flawed, because we're all flawed. But it's being able to look beyond the surface and see what's there and help them realize it too, to pull it out, to get them to walk in their greatness. So that's what I do. That's what I'm doing now here in Upstate.
Tell me about your QB legacy. It's a nonprofit organization. Am I correct?
It is. Ramon Robbins is really instrumental. He's been a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, we connected in my arena days. We got connected because it was a team that I was playing for. And they ended up bringing him on as one of the coach/player, and that's how we first got connected. And he's he's a guru in his own mind as far as QB development. Okay. And what we've done is notice that how when we're working with kids, I go out there when he's working with kids, he's having his QB seminars, and we see the game that for some reason, well, not some reason, unfortunately, they've gotten away from actually developing the skill set of a quarterback. So many teams, high school, middle schools, even sometimes in college too, you have schemes. So you learn the schemes, but you never teach developments of, being able to take a proper drop. What is your arm motion like when you're throwing a football? How do you engage your hips and all these different things, your torso, what your feet's supposed to look like? All these different fundamentals of a QB has been lost in the shuffle. So we really wanted to get back to really developing the skill set of the quarterback, developing those things that make you successful. But not only just the skill set on the field, but actually developing the entire human being.
There you go.
So making them aware of the totality of what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a good student, what it means to be a positive contributor to society. So not only are we helping them develop on the field, we're helping them develop off the field. And it's a huge coalition of 20 plus guys that are actually across the country where we work in unison to help develop these guys to see, again, bring the best out of them on the football field, but also on in the world as well. And that's one of the roles that I've kind of taken on. I'm doing limited training. We got guys that's training. I mean, we got some phenomenal guys that are training the QBs, but I kind of come in as more of the one who helps make sure putting together programs and designing things to help develop the guys, from a mental standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, from a human being standpoint. So that's kind of where I come in. I mean, I can do the training. I will do some training, but my focal point is making sure these men develop into men that can be positive contributors to what arena they step into. Not only they're going to blow it out on the field, but they're going to blow it out when it comes to being a man in society today. So that's what QB legacy is all about. When you think about the word legacy essentially means leaving a lasting story, letting that story continue to go throughout the ages. So as one person grows up through it, they leave something for somebody else to pick up and continue on. So that's what QB legacy is all about, bringing back the fundamentals to the quarterback position, but also bringing back what it means to be an adult, a grown man in today's world.
That's awesome. Now, is that year round or just doing off season?
No, that's year round. This is it's a curriculum. I mean, it's year round.
Is that located in upstate also?
It's located, like I said, it's nationwide. I mean, we stretch from the East Coast to the West Coast and all areas in between. There are guys in different points. So we got guys in California, guys are in Texas. You got people up north, Midwest. I mean, there are guys strategically located across the globe. That's why it's like a coalition. So no matter where a kid is, there's someone in QB legacy near them that they can participate in. So that's how it was structured.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You guys, you got a young man that's playing quarterback. Check out QB legacy, man. I got some fan questions. Well, fan question. Young man named Jared Williams out of Manning, South Carolina. He has 2-part questions for you. Do you feel that the role of quarterback in NFL today is defined by your era? Meaning the standards that you, Mike Vick, Joe Hamilton, y'all did in y'all era is the things that, is what is considered now the norm coming from Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. Do you think you guys are the one that set that standard?
I would like to take some of that credit. I mean, but it's just one of those things. I'm a firm believer that each generation is to set up the next generation to go further. So guys like myself, the guys that you mentioned, Antoine Randall, we got those conversations going. And then if you want to back up a little bit, you think about, a Tommy Frazier, somebody like that. We got that conversation started. And it was a misnomer back then because they still wanted that, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" quarterback to stand back there and throw the ball all around the field. But with the evolution of the defenses, you got guys that can move just as fast as one of your receivers, but they're big. They're 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260, running 4.4s and 4.5s. I mean, and athletic. You got to have somebody that can move around a little bit because defense are so much more faster. But it just gives another element to the offensive side of the ball. So to answer the question, yes, I think we did play a role in that of getting the conversation started, getting in there and showing that it can be done. And now you're seeing guys benefiting from the sacrifices. Well, I would call it sacrifice because we was out there having fun playing ball. Yeah. But, it was still one of those things of where, most of us got our position changed when we actually got into the league. But the conversation was started. It was shown that it can be done. And now, again, the next generation is benefiting from that. So, yeah, it's been a big, huge change. And I'd like to say we did have a hand in that.
And that leads to my second question, which I totally agree with him on this one. Why do you think the NFL did not respect you as a quarterback? I feel like they didn't give you a chance, but I wasn't there, so.
Well, it's just one of those things. And for me, it was as simple as this: the scouts, the people making those decisions said I couldn't, and that's what it really boiled down to. If you think about it, Vick, we were saying class. But Vick came out the year before me. I came out the following year, and if you put our stats side by side, mine were better. Now, but here's the thing: not this kind of we ran different offenses too, so you got to take that with a grain of salt as well. Yeah. But also, we were the same height, we were about the same build, and they said Mike could do it, and they said I couldn't, and that's really what it boiled down to when they're analyzing the tape, when they're looking at things. Because one of the things on me, they said my arm wasn't strong enough. They said I wasn't accurate enough. I wasn't tall enough. But again, Vick and I were the same height. He was the number 1 pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. We threw the ball with just the same velocity, same accuracy. My accuracy over my course was about 65%, over my totality of my career. But again, it just boiled down to those who were doing the scouting saying I can't. So it still kind of plays into, and I'll dig into this just a little bit more. For us as Black quarterbacks, you just got to pay attention because they measure us based on our skill set. When you look at our white counterparts, they base them off of intangibles. Yep. So those things is dual threat, fast, elusive. That's how they'll talk about a Black quarterback. When you talk about a white quarterback, they'll be talking about things such as, leader, those types of intangibles that doesn't, command of the offense, intellectual, those types of things. And that's kind of how that rolls. Because if you look at, I remember they did a thing of where they were actually having these QBs, but Deshaun Watson was one of them. He had to read his draft analyzation.
Yeah, I remember that.
Interesting how they paired him, but he's proven that he can get it done. Oh yeah. But to answer the question again, it's just the fact that they said that I couldn't do it, so no one looked at me as that, and they moved me over to running back because of it.
And just off the record, man, I really believe you could have do the same thing with Deshaun doing that. They gave you opportunity at quarterback. I'm not even a Clemson fan. I'm a Gator fan. I'm just giving them his props,
Appreciate that.
All right, this is my rapid fire question. When I ask some lighthearted questions, you can answer either way how you want to, okay?
Okay, that works.
Psychology states that there's 2 emotions, love or fear. Which one you rather be?
Love.
What's your biggest fear?
Letting someone down. Letting my people down.
Who's the best coach you ever played for?
By far, Coach Tommy Brown, my high school football coach.
Who's the best teammate you ever played with?
Ooh, shoot. I don't know. I mean, I have so many.
Give me your top 5 best teammates.
I go back to high school. I'm thinking about Aaron Edmonds. He was on defense, but he was one of my guys. And then Travis Zachary in Clemson was another one that jumps out to me. He was my ride or die guy. And I'll put these all together. My whole entire offensive line, Kyle Young, T.J. Watkins, Will Merritt, Gary Bird. These guys, my whole front 5. I'm putting them together as one. It's the best team I ever had. And then moving, I'm thinking about Justin Griffin, playing with in Atlanta, and then also I'm in this last one for number 5. I'm gonna name my entire rookie class that I came in with the Dallas Cowboys: Andre Gerard, Devin Johnson, Pete Hunter, Roy Williams, Keith Davis. All us came together. We were a tight-knit group. So, I had some wonderful teammates, that always had my back. I had theirs. That's how I would answer.
What's the worst job you ever had?
We all ever had inside sales at UPS.
Name your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL in any era.
That list will be started with Warren Moon because he was my guy. He was the one. He's the reason why I won number 1.
I was just about to ask you that.
I played quarterback with Warren Moon. Yeah. And then you got Randall Cunningham comes right in there after that. Doug Williams comes into that fold because he was really the one that showed that they will believe in that the QB position was a cerebral position and the black guy could do it. And he showed by winning that Super Bowl, after that. So, and then now you just rolling on to what's going on now. That was 3. I'm going to throw those 3 guys that's in there. Actually, probably going to be 4, so I'm going over 1. I really like what Deshaun Watson is doing. I really like what Russell Wilson is doing. And then, what's the curly head kid's name at KC?
My homeboy.
Mahomes doing great. Lamar and I actually got to throw Lamar up there too, because that guy, he's just doing what he needs to do. From the fact of not putting on the agent, sticking to his gun. They said he wasn't gonna be able to play quarterback. They dogged him. And he's there and doing his thing. So I mean, those are my tops that are doing it right now.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Depends on my mood, honestly. It can be binging on ice cream and donuts. I mean, cooler donuts. It can be playing video games. It can be watching TV. It just depends. All depends on my mood. I don't have a specific guilty pleasure, but when I decide to go into something, it will be, whatever I feel at the moment.
When you're working out, what music you like to listen to?
Again, depends on my mood. I can go from classical to gospel to rap, but most of my music I'm listening to is mostly going to probably be, I hate the term, the Christian rap.
I got you.
That's what I'm listening to most of the time. Sometimes I'm in there and I'm listening to Mozart, Bach, my classical music. That's another. It just depends on how I'm feeling at the time.
Calms you down, cool you down, kind of get you mentally prepared for what you're about to do.
Yeah.
I got you. What's your most prized possession?
My most prized possession is my wife and my 2 girls. I mean, that's my motivation. That's my heart. That's my everything. That's the reason why. That's my prize possession. That's what I protect with my life. That's what I work for so hard to provide for. So my wife and my 2 girls. That's it.
When it's all said and done, how do you want the world to remember Woodrow Dantzler?
Simple as this. He was a man that feared God, loved God, and he was a man who took care of his family. And not only take care of his family, but he actually, made paths for others to be great. Because my name means that just in itself, a path in the woods. So to be able to have those things, a man who loved the Lord, a man who loved his family, and a man who created for others.
There you go. Well, Mr. Dantzler, I appreciate you coming to the Miller Experience. Thank you. Is anything information you want to give out? Your Instagram information, maybe a contact about the QB Legacy?
I'm on social media platforms, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Woodrow Dantzler III. Same on Facebook, Woodrow Dantzler III. I'm there as well. You can find me on Instagram at Woody Dantzler III, and that's III on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't know. I haven't figured that Twitter thing out just yet. It's at Woody Dantzler with a 3 this time.
Okay.
So, but I'm trying to figure this Twitter thing out. But the best way to contact me is info@dantzler3.com, and that's info at dantzlerii.com.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming, Mr. Dantzler. Thank you, and stay blessed, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing your platform with me. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right, guys. That concludes our interview today with the Clemson legend, Mr. Woodrow Dantzler. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Miller Experience. Comment, like, and share. Comment, like, and share. Comment, like, and share.